I don't really post here. I don't even know if this is the right subreddit. But something happened to me during my foreign exchange program in Japan last year that I've never told anyone in full. I tried to forget about it, pretend it was cultural misunderstanding, bad luck, a weird dream. But the more I look back, the more I think, no, I was in real danger. And if I hadn't gotten out when I did... Anyway, I'm writing it down now because I can't stop thinking about it. Maybe it'll help someone else trust their gut before it's too late. So, yeah, I was a high school exchange student. I'd been obsessed with Japan for years. Anime, language, food, all of it. I studied my ass off, applied to this big international program, and got accepted. It was supposed to be one of the best experiences of my life. Spoiler, it wasn't. When I landed at Narita Airport, everything felt surreal, like dreamlike. My host family was supposed to meet me at the gate holding a sign with my name on it. I was nervous, sweating in my hoodie even though it was October. And when I saw the sign, Nakamura family welcomes Emily, I just about collapsed from relief. The family seemed sweet enough at first. The mom, Mrs. Nakamura, was all smiles and bows. She kept calling me Emiri-chan in this sing-song voice, like I was a little kid. She smelled like soup and fabric softener and reminded me of every warm anime mom stereotype ever. Then there was Mr. Nakamura. He was tall for a Japanese guy, balding, wore glasses, and had this kind of twitchy, awkward energy. He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He laughed a lot, at weird times, like when no one said anything funny. I remember he shook my hand and then held onto it a little too long. Not creepy yet, but enough to notice. Their house was in Chiba Prefecture, about 90 minutes from Tokyo. A pretty quiet area, small shops, old people on bikes, and rice fields. The house itself was traditional and a little rundown. Tatami mats, paper sliding doors, wooden floors that creaked like they were alive. I thought it was cool, at first. They gave me the guest room at the back of the house. It was sparse, just a futon, a desk, and a window that faced a tiny garden full of moss and weird little statues. The kind you'd see in a Studio Ghibli movie. Mrs. Nakamura brought me tea and mochi, and kept patting my shoulder and calling me her American daughter. That first night, I was exhausted. I unpacked, messaged my parents, and passed out around 10 p.m. I thought I was dreaming when I heard the floorboards creaking outside my room. Slow steps. Creak, creak. Then a sliding door opened, then silence. I sat up. My door was closed. I convinced myself it must have been the wind or the house settling. It was an old house. Things creak. The next morning at breakfast, Mr. Nakamura stared at me the whole time. Not like in a pervy way, just staring, blinking slowly. His miso soup got cold. I smiled awkwardly and said, "Ohayo gozaimasu," and he nodded, then laughed, like full-on chuckled. Mrs. Nakamura told him to stop being rude, but in this overly sweet voice, like she was joking. She asked if I slept well, and I just said, "Yeah, thank you." She said, "That room hasn't been used since Yumi-chan left. It misses having a girl." I asked who Yumi was. "Oh, a student we hosted a few years ago. She didn't stay long." Okay, I know how this sounds so far, like, "Emily, you're overreacting. They're just being polite." And I told myself that too. All week I gaslit myself into believing everything was fine, but more little things started adding up. Like how Mr. Nakamura kept finding reasons to come into my room. He'd knock, wait maybe half a second, and then slide the door open. Once he brought me fruit. Another time, a pillow for my back. One day he just opened the door while I was getting dressed, bra half on, and stared before mumbling, "Oh, sorry," and backing out. I told Mrs. Nakamura about that one. She laughed and said, "He's just old-fashioned. He didn't mean anything by it." Then she asked what I was doing walking around in provocative underwear. It was a tank top and shorts. After that, I started locking the sliding door with a chair. It didn't help much. The doors didn't really lock, and the walls were made of paper. I couldn't breathe without someone hearing it. The school they sent me to was fine. People were friendly, but I was the only foreigner. The language barrier made it hard to connect. I made one friend, a quiet girl named Ayaka, who asked me during lunch one day, "Do you feel safe in that house?" I asked why. She just shook her head. I stayed there once, for a weekend, with my cousin. It's not a good place for girls. I tried to press her, but she clammed up and changed the subject. Things escalated fast after that. One night, I was taking a bath. Japanese houses usually have separate rooms for the toilet and the bath. And I heard the floorboards creak again. Not just creak, slow footsteps coming toward the bathroom. I froze. The door had a small, foggy window at the top, and I swear to God, I saw a shadow stop in front of it. Not moving, just there. I whispered, "Hello?" No answer. Then the light outside flicked off. Just click. Total darkness. When I came out, wrapped in a towel and shaking, Mr. Nakamura was standing down the hall. Just standing there, smiling. He said, "I thought the light was broken. Did I scare you?" I told Mrs. Nakamura the next morning. I told her everything. She smiled and said, "You're very imaginative. Japanese houses make strange sounds. Maybe you're homesick?" I wanted to scream. So, yeah, after the bathroom thing, I started keeping my phone on me at all times. I even started sleeping with it under my pillow, with the flashlight app open just in case. And I know what you're probably thinking. Why didn't I ask to be moved? I wanted to. God, I really did. But it's not that simple when you're on a tightly controlled exchange program halfway across the world. I didn't want to seem like I was being dramatic or culturally insensitive. I kept telling myself, maybe this is normal here. Maybe I'm the problem. It was easier to believe that than to accept what was really happening. The next red flag was my phone going missing. It was a Friday night. I was FaceTiming a friend back home, just venting about everything when the call dropped. I checked the Wi-Fi. Gone. I got up, walked into the hallway to reset the router like I'd seen Mrs. Nakamura do before. And nothing. Router was gone. Just gone. The little blinking box wasn't on the table where it usually sat. I figured maybe she moved it, so I went to ask. The house was dead quiet, lights off. I didn't want to wake anyone up, so I went back to my room. Decided to just scroll through photos or something and call it a night. Except, my phone was gone too. I always left it next to my pillow, always. I tore the futon apart, searched under it, checked my bag, the floor, the hallway. Nothing. It didn't make sense. I hadn't left my room. Nobody could have taken it unless someone came in while I was out of the room. Or sleeping. The next morning at breakfast, I was trying to play it cool, but I must have looked super off because Mrs. Nakamura asked, "Bad dreams?" I said, "No, my phone's gone. I think I lost it." She said, "Oh dear," and looked genuinely concerned. Then she said, "I'll help you look after breakfast." Mr. Nakamura just smiled at me over his rice bowl and said, "Maybe you sleepwalked." Then he winked. That was the moment I stopped gaslighting myself. That afternoon, Mrs. Nakamura found my phone under the cabinet in the Genkin entryway. It was sitting on top of a pair of my socks I hadn't even unpacked yet. She handed it to me with this sweet, overly casual voice. "Silly Amiri-chan, you must have dropped it coming home from school." I hadn't been anywhere near the front door with it. I knew that. She knew that. Later that night, I checked my photo gallery. Nothing new. Then I opened my notes app. There was a new note I didn't write. Just a single line. "You are safest when you are sleeping." I nearly threw up. After that, I started sleeping with a chair jammed under the sliding door handle and a pile of books against it, so I'd hear if anyone opened it. I tried to act normal, go to school, do my homework, be polite. But every night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, waiting to hear the floorboards creak. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes I dreamed they did and woke up not knowing what was real anymore. The weirdest thing happened the next Wednesday. I came home from school and found my door closed, which was weird because I always left it slightly open to keep air moving. The futon had been made. My clothes were folded. There was a little paper crane sitting on my pillow. I asked Mrs. Nakamura if she cleaned, and she said yes, of course. She said she wanted me to feel like I belonged. Then she added, "Your scent is very calming." I said, "Sorry?" She giggled and waved it off. "Ah, sorry. My English is silly." But it wasn't her English that made that sentence terrifying. That night, I woke up to something brushing my arm. I bolted upright. No one there. But the window was cracked open. I never opened it. There was a faint smell of cologne in the air. The next morning, my diary, the one I kept in English, hidden in my backpack, was gone. I searched everywhere. I freaked out and skipped breakfast, just hid in my room until I had to leave for school. My stomach was in knots. When I came home, it was back. sitting on my desk, open to a random page, with a single line added at the bottom in someone else's handwriting. Don't lie about the people who feed you. Ayaka hesitated, then said, You need to talk to Ito-sensei. He's strict, but he listens. I didn't know who that was. She pointed me toward a staff office. I went after class. Mr. Ito was the vice principal. He barely spoke English, but I had enough Japanese, and with Ayaka translating in whispers, I explained what was happening. He didn't react much, just nodded, asked questions, asked for proof. I showed him the photo of Yumi, the note in my phone, the journal. He asked if I had told the program representative. I said yes, but she wasn't replying anymore. He looked disturbed, but measured. Finally, he said, Go home. Act normal. I will make some calls. I didn't want to go back. I begged to stay at school. He said he couldn't allow that without official permission, so I went back. That night, when I walked in the door, Mr. Nakamura was waiting in the Genkin. He smiled wide and said, Long day? I nodded, trying not to look like I was trembling. Then he said, Ito-sensei called me today. Did you say something about Yumi? My heart dropped into my stomach. Before I could speak, Mrs. Nakamura appeared behind him. She didn't smile this time. She just said, coldly, We opened your bag. You took something that doesn't belong to you. They knew. After the Nakamuras confronted me about the Yumi diary, I panicked. I stammered out some excuse about just being curious and wanting to learn more about their past exchange students. Mr. Nakamura nodded slowly, like he was pretending to buy it. Mrs. Nakamura didn't say anything. She just walked away. That night, I packed my things. Everything. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know where I was going. But staying was no longer an option. I waited until the house was dark. 1:30 a.m. I pushed my bag out the window first, then climbed out myself. Same tiny window that almost got me caught the first time. When my feet hit the mossy stone outside, I froze. Because standing in the hallway, just behind the paper wall, I heard him breathing. Heavy, slow, like he was sleeping standing up. Except he whispered, I know you're awake. And the light flicked on. I ran. Didn't look back. Just sprinted barefoot down the narrow street, holding my bag to my chest, heart thudding so hard I thought it'd break my ribs. I had no idea where I was going. The town was pitch black. I passed vending machines, shuttered shops, stray cats. Finally found a 24-hour Family Mart and ran inside. The clerk looked up, startled, as I slammed into the counter, begging for help in broken Japanese. I'm in danger. Help. Please. Call police. He did. Thank God he did. I waited inside while he made the call. A police car pulled up maybe 10 minutes later. Longest 10 minutes of my life. The officers didn't speak much English, but they let me show them the Yumi diary, the photos, and, most importantly, the scratched-up note I had hidden in my bra. You are safest when you are sleeping. They took me to the station. I told them everything. They didn't react much, just took notes, nodded, asked questions. One of them kept asking, Are you sure? Maybe you misunderstood. But one officer, older guy, graying at the temples, he looked at the photo of Yumi, then back at me, and said something in Japanese to his partner. His face changed, like something clicked. I never found out what they said. The next day, the exchange program rep finally contacted me, suddenly super concerned, apologized for not responding, said there had been technical issues. Bullshit. I asked if she ever met Yumi. She said, There is no Yumi in our records. When I pushed, she got cold. Maybe you're confused. Maybe she was hosted by a different program. Right? I spent 2 nights in a hotel under school supervision while the police investigated. They wouldn't tell me anything, but I overheard someone on the phone say, Not the first time she's gone missing? I still don't know what happened to Yumi. Her last name wasn't in the diary. No school photo, no social media, nothing. Like, she never existed. I asked Ayaka, the quiet girl at school, if she remembered anything else. She just shook her head and whispered, You were lucky. They flew me back to the U.S. a week early. My parents were furious at the program. I told them the basics, not everything. I didn't want them to see how close I came to disappearing. For weeks I had nightmares, of sliding paper doors, of breathing outside my room, of a whisper, You are safest when you are sleeping. A few months ago, this is why I'm finally posting this. I got a letter. No return address, Japanese stamps. Inside was a small photo, glossy, new. It was a girl, blonde, American, standing in front of the Nakamura house, smiling. On the back, one word, Emiri. Not my name, but his name for me. I don't know what to do with that. I've tried contacting the program. They claim nothing's wrong, no new exchange students placed at that address. But I know what I saw.